Good morning. We'll give it just a few minutes for other people to join us. Can't believe it's already the end of September. Where did the year go? We're starting Q4 in just a few days.
It is absolutely ridiculous how fast the summer flew up here.
And you probably have pretty good weather at this point. I mean, we're still sitting here over 100 degrees in Phoenix. I'll be happy to come visit.
It's definitely cooler than that here in Rhode Island.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us this morning. My name is Chad Ritter. I'm the co-chair of the IT community of IFMA. We are, in fact, the oldest component of IFMA, been around for 27 years. And we've been answering one question there that entire time, which is how does technology support corporate real estate in FM? The cool thing is that tech has changed so much and changes so rapidly. We have different topics to share and case studies to talk about frequently. Next slide, please, Russell. For those of you that are not familiar, besides chat, we always like to do a plug for the importance of communities and councils. We've got 7 communities that are predominantly horizontal thought leaders. IT community is one of them. Real workplace evolutionaries, business leadership, and there's also 16 councils, which are vertical market aggregations, banking, airports, legal, manufacturing. So if you want to, network with your peers across the country and across the world, communities and councils are a great way to expand your engagement with IFMA. Next slide, please, Russ. IT community does a lot. We've been, really, quite engaged for a number of years, but especially since the pandemic, we've, seen a growth in membership, growth in interest, growth in followers. This year, we participated in a number of conferences, of course, all of the IFMA ones, including the newest one from IFMA, the Global Middle East. We will be at World Workplace in San Antonio. I know some of the guys from Roomla will be there as well. Participated in Blueprint last month. We support newsletters, do a couple of pop-up events, symposiums. There's a lot to get engaged, depending on what your interest is in technology for FM. Next slide, please. We had this growth, this crazy growth of the pandemic, not so much in terms of the number of members, but the geographic reach. We just added members in Lithuania, which puts us at membership in 37 countries. So I think people really, kind of resonated during the pandemic, and since then, how do we operate more efficiently and how do we operate within compliance around the world? So really encouraging to see how many countries are represented within our membership. Thanks. Next slide, Russell. Really need to do a shout out for our sponsors, a small shout out for the IFMA Foundation. We could not do a lot of the content generation or participate in a lot of events that we participate in without our sponsors. So thanks to all, and a special thanks to Room Alert, who's sponsoring this webinar. And I think it's a perfect time to hand it off to Russ and Richard and Russell. Take it away, guys. Looking forward to this session.
Great. Thank you, Ted, and welcome everybody who's joined us today. My name is Rick Grundy with Avtech Software, maker of Room Alert. And as I go through a brief introduction here, we're going to post a poll for you, looking to understand what environment conditions are of most concern to you when you're thinking about protecting your facility or protecting your organization. Room Alert is a product that monitors environment conditions like temperature, humidity, flood, power, smoke, and more to prevent damage and downtime in organizations and facilities around the world. You can currently find Room Alert in use in 187 countries around the world. We're based here in Warren, Rhode Island, just east of Providence. We've got a manufacturing facility that we own and operate in Western Pennsylvania, a distribution facility in Ireland for our European customers, and also a sales office supporting operations in Dubai and the Gulf region. Protecting organizations of all types all over the world, historically been focused on IT and data center environments, but also general facilities monitoring, safety and compliance, which we'll talk about a bit, and certainly growing sustainability needs as well. So the question is, why is environment monitoring important? And I think all of us know the answer to that in terms of how things feel. We've all experienced power outages. We've all experienced air conditioning failures. We've all experienced other adverse conditions from that. But more importantly, there's a changing regulatory environment going on right now. You're seeing a lot of focus on sustainability and energy efficiency and goals around that. But also, over the last several years, there's been a much higher focus on the people element, the human safety element. OSHA, as an example, is focused on heat-related illness. They have put a new focus program in place. And as the global temperatures continue to increase, that is only going to become more and more prevalent. So in addition to the normal unexpected surprises that environment issues can throw at us, certainly from a regulatory standpoint and from a safety standpoint, we're seeing a much higher focus on that currently. And, our next question for you, which we can poll you as well, is what percentage generally of downtime or damage do you believe is caused for your organization or your facility within the environment? What percentage of that downtime or damage is caused by those environment factors? Slightly different stat, but still meaningful here is that out of general business owners, over 90% are concerned at a minimum about the extreme weather and high temperatures that we're seeing around the world. And that's not a surprise. Even today, there's a major hurricane coming up the Gulf region, and they're dealing with extreme weather there. Last year, the average global temperature set a new record for the highest global temperature ever on record, only to be broken this year. By now having the global highest temperature this year as well. So extreme weather continues to threaten organizations and facilities, both with, could be water and rain, could be high temperature, certainly impacts to the power infrastructure. But in addition to that, the constantly higher temperature the different parts of the world are working at are certainly causing strain on existing infrastructure and existing cooling that may not have been designed to sustain cooling levels at that load for this long. So interestingly in the stats there. So we had a few people say 10%, others 50%. The average, the number is actually 30%. So 30% of damage and downtime on average across multiple surveys, multiple industries. 30% of that damage and downtime is caused by specifically environment factors. The other 70% will be made up of things like human error, cybersecurity incidents, and so on. So again, why does heat matter? We talked about OSHA a little bit in terms of the changing regulatory environment earlier. That is becoming more and more prevalent. OSHA originally had recommendations around heat-related illness and heat safety, but now they've backed that up with regulations and standards at the federal level. Most states have started to adopt that, and surprise, surprise, Cal OSHA in California has even taken it a step further. So in California, for example, Cal OSHA mandates that if the heat index is over 82 degrees, employers are mandated to provide mitigation steps to prevent heat-related illness, including heat exhaustion and heat stroke. And it's not just outdoor workers, it's indoor workers too. So those of us who are familiar with the challenges of managing different types of facilities would understand that, warehouses, distribution facilities, manufacturing centers oftentimes don't have full air conditioning for cooling. They may have a swamp cooler at best, or maybe no cooling at all. And that 82-degree threshold is going to be hit really, really quickly. So now that there's mandates from OSHA and from workplace safety agencies, employers are mandated to mitigate that, and the costs are going up as well. OSHA just increased the penalties to over $16,000 per violation. So if you have employees that are having heat-related illness, even if it's not all the way up to a heat stroke or heat exhaustion, there's still going to be an OSHA component that factors into that. So beyond the people safety, there's still the pressure on equipment safety as well. The world continues to become more and more digital. Every single organization of every single type depends on some type of digital infrastructure. It could be for their own internal systems, but it's often dependent on their external systems that their customers are using, whether it's banking and finance, all the way down to, a lawyer's office, an accountant's office, a small retail shop that needs to charge bill of sale credit cards. All are dependent on a digital infrastructure. The equipment that runs that digital infrastructure is designed to run within certain parameters. So you can see here some of the Azure recommendations for the safe operation of computer equipment. I think the human factor is a bigger issue here because oftentimes the IT equipment is running within a facility, and the facility management and the IT management are looking at it from two different perspectives. The IT management is continuing to look at investing in more equipment and upgraded equipment to continue to support the needs of the digital infrastructure. But they're not always in lockstep with the facility managers who are familiar with the design of the HVAC system, the cooling tonnage that's available. And I don't believe often IT managers are looking at the power loads that are on the back. Every computer is basically a space heater. And so there's two factors that come into this. Number one is that those computers are often running on backup battery. So when you do have a power outage, the computers keep running. But there's not many HVACs in the world that also run on battery backup. So now you've got a heat load difference, and it's going to quickly overheat that equipment and cause damage and downtime. The other is that as the IT infrastructure grows, as companies make investments in the computers and you're filling up empty spaces in the rack, every time you do that, you're adding 500 to 1,000 watts of new energy load that should be factored into your cooling. And if it's not, then not only are you risking the damage and downtime, but you're also risking the maintenance and the equipment operation. So, maybe now your HVACs aren't cycling at the rates that's optimal for them. They're running too long or running too short. Compressors are freezing out, or you're just not getting the cooling load. If you're actively monitoring those things, you can track that over time and you can stay ahead of it, and you can do the maintenance that you need to make sure that the equipment stays up and running. So the name of the game, whether it's protecting people or protecting equipment, is advanced early warning so that you can make better decisions, so that you can prevent damage and downtime from happening unexpectedly. Excuse me. In recent years, we've seen air quality grow in importance as well. So many of us are familiar with the wildfires that have been happening all over the country and into Canada, and that smoke spreads throughout the entire country, and different regions are impacted at different times. So that's certainly got an air quality component to it. But as you all know, as building efficiency increases, then you're ending up with buildings that are tighter and more sealed, and unless we are intentionally cycling the air within those buildings, we risk that air becoming stale. Or if there's an issue with that air, it's more likely that it's going to stay in there because there's not enough ventilation to move it around. So monitoring things like air particulate levels and making sure that the air is safe to breathe is important, but also monitoring airflow and making sure that you're moving enough air through the square footage that you have often enough for the occupancy that's in that space. Both are important from an occupant safety standpoint, but again, both are important from a preventative maintenance standpoint. Facility managers know that often filter changes are happening on a calendar schedule, not on a need schedule. But if you can actively monitor airflow and particulate, you can migrate your maintenance schedule to more of a need base, because it could be that your filters need to be changed more often. And when they need to be changed, you may see one of two things or both. You may see the particulate level starting to increase as the filter efficiency decreases and it allows more particulate through, or more likely you're going to see a decrease in the amount of airflow coming out of the same system. And that could mean that you've got a filter clog. So if you're somebody who's changing filters on a calendar schedule every 6 months, it may be that when you add some sensors to it, you see that there's a more timely need to do that sooner, both for the benefit of the equipment and also the occupants that are in that space. This is a stat that always surprises people. We're familiar with going into a building and being required to have smoke detection. There's building smoke detection, there's fire protection, there's sprinklers. Fire safety is at the top of mind for most building occupants. But we're 10 times more likely to see damage from water in any facility than we are smoke. But there's no requirement to have any of that water monitoring in place to prevent that damage. Yet we're 10 times more likely to see it. As you can see here, just a 1/16 of an inch crack in a pipe will leak 20 gallons a minute. And I guarantee those 20 gallons per minute are happening at 2 in the morning when nobody is there to see it. So how much damage can be done over several hours overnight before somebody comes in? During COVID, we saw quite a bit of damage happening because buildings were completely unoccupied. And a small drip would turn into a stream, would turn into a flood. And now when you go to move back into the building, you need to do a full remediation because it's water damaged and molded. So some other considerations are going to be around your HVACs and your condensation drains. How often have you had a condensate drain block up and drip onto a drop ceiling panel at a minimum? How often has it filled up a tray of water, then the tray's collapsed, and now you've got hundreds of gallons of condensate water that's been building up in a system that nobody's been looking at, that's now damaged to space. So active monitoring of water, since you're 10 times more likely to see that water damage, it makes perfect sense to be monitoring that just like you would smoke or fire. So with some of those stats about areas of concern around the building, I wanted to hand off to Russ Clark, who is, as he said, or as we had during the intros there, he is a co-chair of the engagement committee for the IFMA Boston chapter, well connected with many other IFMA members, and can share some insights with us about what he's hearing from other IFMA members about their concerns. So Russ, take it away.
Thanks, Rick. I appreciate it. Thanks very much. And I appreciate IFMA for giving us opportunity for us to present our company in Rumblard. Just for everybody that's on know, I will be at the San Antonio World Workplace. Looking forward to that. And I'm in the midst of making sure that I can go and see as many people as I can, being part of the co-chair of the engagement committee here in the Boston area. As a lot of you might know, Boston this in past May, we did an event in Boston Seaport District, which was highly represented by many members, and so it was an excellent way to get to know people. And at that point, we were having a change of guard at our for our corporate folks that are in here at the for the IFMA team. So a lot of changes, a lot of updates. So new presidents and new people finding new places, and then and I found myself as a co-chair. I'm quite passionate about the organization. If my youngest son, happens to be in the industry, so it comes close to my heart about a lot of things that are going on in this area. We are seeing a huge increase in some of the numbers, and it's due to some of the efforts that we're trying to do in the membership drive here to bring in new people and marry that the suppliers with the FMs, and so that we can get a really great learning experience that we can get out of it that a lot of people, and then getting our messages out just like what we're doing here with Room Alert, getting our message out to the masses in all of the United States, and then also because we're international, it gives us an opportunity to get a broader message out. So it's a pretty exciting time. I'm excited about getting out to San Antonio. I don't know if my contact information is, but if you are attending, please send me an email, russclark@roomalert.com, and we'll find some time to meet. We don't have a booth this year, but I will be going by the IFMA International booth. There's a couple of folks there that I'm going to meet, along with there's just a whole group from different areas, and a lot of them are all very concerned about some of the other stuff that's happening, and a lot of the things that we address, which is environmental monitoring. So hope to see you there. If you are, drop me a note and we'll go from there. Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Rick?
Russ. Yeah, much appreciated. And certainly a lot of the issues that we've talked about today are ones that are being raised by some of the local members here. We've got some large-scale laboratories that are looking to do some more advanced monitoring. We've got commercial building operators that are looking to get more visibility into tenant spaces, or tenants of large commercial properties that don't get the same benefit of the building management system that a property owner may have, and are instead looking to add it to their their tenant spaces, and a lot of manufacturing and fabrication facilities that are seeing the rise of safety requirements with OSHA around both the heat safety, but also particulate safety in a workshop environment where you may have metal shavings or smoke or other kind of contaminants that they want to be protected against. So old school systems for that are going to be a safety officer with a check, with a paper log and paper tracking. But there's automated ways to do that now can keep you not only in compliance with the regulatory agencies, which is critical, but most importantly, you're more dynamically staying on top of any potential safety issues for your team and for your employees. So a lot of common trends around some of the local membership, and we're looking forward as Russ works out to San Antonio. We've talked recently with some of the other people on this call about IFMA's engagement opportunities both in the Middle East and Europe, and we're looking to participate in all of those in any way that we possibly can. So I believe jumping ahead into summary from here, I gave a little bit of an overview of who we are and where we operate globally. In terms of who is trusting our products, it's really, the thing we like to say is that you really can't go 10 feet in your life without bumping into an organization that is likely trusting Room-Alert to protect their infrastructure. So every single Amazon distribution facility globally uses our product for workplace safety, specifically around heat index. Every branch of the U.S. military protecting their digital infrastructure. We've got NASA, SpaceX, and JPL protecting, the space infrastructure. And thousands of small and mid-sized businesses, lots of higher education facilities, towns and cities and local townships, universities, district courts, and otherwise. As I said, leading off, the world has moved into more of a digital infrastructure. And as that investment continues, the need to protect that infrastructure is critical. And Room-Alert has been doing it for quite some time. We're proud to be going into our 38th year. We've been doing it in lots of interesting places. We've had Room-Alert delivered on the back of Jeeps in countries down in Africa for the UN. So lots of interesting stories about where Room-Alert's being used. But all of it is focused around this theme of creating better business continuity, both in terms of uptime for the operation itself and the facility itself, but also safety and uptime for the people doing the work and the productivity that's happening within an organization. So with that, I think we can hand off to questions that may be from the attendees here, both in terms of things that may be on your mind for concerns within your facility, or if you've got questions about Room-Alert or some of the services that we can offer, we're happy to help. We've got our contact information here. We're available to be reached as well. Russ is going to be in San Antonio if any of you are, and we're happy to engage with any members at any time to help you protect your facility or protect your team.
Steve, with just one question wanted to address is, how do you get started? How do you scale for, installation, and then what does that installation process look like?
Yeah, great question. The installation process for us often starts the very same way, which is small and in a very targeted area. The majority of our customers, even today, this 2 decades worth of trends support this, which is that the majority of our customers come to us after they've experienced an issue. They had an air conditioning failure over the weekend. They had a pipe burst in a neighboring tenant space and it impacted their space. They had something happen in their warehouse and it damaged inventory. And then on Monday morning when they come in, they're getting pressure from their boss or from their manager to make sure this never happens again. And when they go and look on the web for solutions, we're fortunate to be right at the top of the list. Often our customers start very, very small. Amazon is an example of that. Amazon bought one device for $300 15 years ago. And they quickly saw the value in it and have quickly expanded, and we're shipping globally to Amazon sites around the world to support their efforts. Same with most of our military customers. Often it would be an office within the military supporting a very specific item. They buy one product, get it qualified, and then expand from there. So the way we try to position our products is that they're very value oriented. We are trying to make sure that there are models available for every need and for every budget. Most of our room alert products, they do all of the same things, just with different capacities. And so you can choose the model that has the capacity that you need at the price point that you can afford, put it into the facility, gain the value from it, and then it's easy to justify from there. So super, super affordable and easy to install. Our most affordable model, like I said, is under $300 and can immediately get an ROI on that in no time at all.
Yeah, it seems like a no-brainer way to start, especially if you've experienced that flood scenario, which is, as you said earlier, the most common scenario. Not seeing any other questions coming in. A couple of final housekeeping things. We'll share a copy of the deck as well as a link to the recorded session with everyone that registered. This will be posted on IT resource page. And guys, we look forward to seeing you in San Antonio and possibly Dubai and the Netherlands next few months and next year.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Take care. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.